I think that it's not unreasonable to say that in certain aspects, America has had an issue with over-policing. And that's not CRT. That's not wokeness. I think that's impactful of all people, including white people, including poor people. And we've seen this repeatedly, an escalation of force a lot of times by law enforcement. So from my understanding of the stories of this Elijah Mcclain story, young guy, before the pandemic was wearing a ski mask. Now, after the pandemic, then poo shiesty ski masks, everybody's wearing. You know what I'm talking about with the poo shiesty ski mask? Everybody's wearing those. But apparently, he had some sort of condition where he would get really cold. So he was wearing a ski mask. He had on headphones. Police approached him, and he didn't hear them at first, which upset the police officers. The situation escalated. They detained him, and then the paramedics showed up and shot him.
Paramedics shot him?
The paramedic shot him with a tranquilizer.
What?
That tranquilizer caused a cardiac arrest or something in the thing, and he choked and he died in police and paramedic custody. And so the situation is extremely, extremely tragic, extremely sad. And the police officers were charged, and I think the paramedics were charged. We could look at our article if you want. And they were, I believe, found not guilty. Which again, there is unnecessary escalation of force, right? And so that doesn't mean we need socialism. That doesn't mean we need to abolish the police. That doesn't mean we need to disrupt the nuclear family and all the other goofy stuff that got backdoored into the Black Lives Matter thing, right? But it does mean that there have been consistent cases like this for decades, not just towards black people, though those are the ones that tend to go viral. There's been white folks shot, unarmed white folks. There's been all kinds of, I mean, in my personal life, I've been to maybe 9 funerals. 2 of them were of unarmed people killed by police. It is extremely tragic. And this is not something to me that should fall amongst partisan lines, amongst Christian lines. When people in power are out of control, they should be called out and told, you're out of control. And I don't care if that's the police, who I think generally speaking are good guys trying to serve people and not trying to harm people, or that's Israel being heavy-handed at times, who I think are generally trying to do good things. But when there's an abuse of power and an abuse of force, I think we should be unified in saying this is wrong. You got some of the story pulled up or what?
Yeah. Okay, it's just to clarify, he was put in a chokehold, probably a rear naked choke, went unconscious. Medical responders arrived after about 15 minutes. Paramedics injected him with ketamine, a powerful sedative.
So it sounds like
You made it sound like they pulled out like a...
No.
Like an elephant
he
gun.
was resisting. He was resisting, and they shot him with a tranquilizer.
They
injected him with a tranquilizer.
They injected him with a tranquilizer while he was unconscious.
Yeah. Why would they inject him with a tranquilizer while he's unconscious?
That's wild, huh?
Okay, keep reading. The facts of this just don't make any sense. Like this, if this isn't negligence, and maybe they overcharged the people involved. Maybe this is negligent homicide and not murder. This just doesn't make any sense. Mcclain was walking home from a convenience store on August 24th when someone called 911 saying he looked sketchy. We've seen this before, right? This is the escalation of force. This is similar to the George Zimmerman situation. We see Trayvon Martin. Trayvon Martin looks sketchy. George Zimmerman calls the police. They tell him, stand down. Don't engage. George Zimmerman doesn't listen, wants to be a vigilante, confronts him, a fight ensues. Trayvon Martin loses his life, right? And George Zimmerman said he was, his defense was stand your own ground. But this idea of like, it looks sketchy, he's wearing a hoodie, or a ski mask or whatever, like, this is just not a good look. Now, that doesn't mean that if you're walking in a dark alley and someone's wearing a ski mask,
walk faster.
You get out of the way, right? But the police arrived, and after struggling to handcuff Mr. Mcclain, officers brought him to the ground and used a carotid hold.
A carotid
hold, which restricts blood to the brain to render someone unconscious. Is this a sleeper move? Is that what
it's just the rear naked choke.
Just the rear naked
They're
choke.
just making up terms.
When medical responders arrived after about 15 minutes, paramedics injected him with ketamine, a powerful sedative. Mr. Mcclain went into cardiac arrest on the way to a hospital. He died a few days later. The case helped usher in sweeping police accountability law in Colorado. So there was some law changes, right? Among the most comprehensive in the nation, the use of ketamine is now restricted and chokeholds are banned in Colorado. It just sucks that this kid had to lose his life for there to be what I would say pretty reasonable legislation passed. Mr. Mcclain was a massage therapist. Elijah Mcclain was a massage therapist who is said to have loved animals and who taught himself to play the guitar and the violin. A photograph. Okay, keep going down. Is there anything else about the specifics. An autopsy by the Adams coroner said that the cause of death was undetermined and that it could have been a result of natural causes, a homicide related to the chokehold or an accident. But while he was detained, Mr. Mcclain was clearly in distress. After officers restrained him on the ground, he vomited several times, for which he apologized, saying, "I'm sorry, I wasn't trying to do that. I can't breathe correctly." Okay, so that's why they probably got him with the ketamine.
Yeah.
An officer said in the body camera footage that officers had put him out with the hold twice, at least once successfully, meaning Mr. Mcclain had lost consciousness. When paramedics arrived, they gave him what was described as a therapeutic dose of ketamine. Body camera footage shows that it made his body go limp when he was loaded onto a gurney. The autopsy report said a combination of factors could have killed Mr. Mcclain. Okay, so listen.
I'm also no expert, but
he had asthma as well.
Well, I also heard like in the MMA circles, like if you go to sleep from a chokehold, it just does, I don't know what type of damage, but it does a lot more damage than tapping. So they always say if you want a longer career, just tap.
Just tap.
But a lot of guys go to sleep because of, they want to be tough. But they put him out twice in one go, which like in MMA you would never see, to say the least. So there is some sort of damage being done there.
Yeah. Yeah. And so I don't know. Listen, like we can't be as conservatives as Christians be skeptical of the government, like except when police treat private citizens foul, and then be like, "We back the blue." You can't have it both ways.
We back the police state.
We back the police state. Like when it's black kids that get choked out, or poor white kids that get choked out and get killed. It just doesn't make sense. Now maybe what were the cops charged with? They were charged with I think they were charged with murder, I believe. So I'm glad that they put a ban on a lot of these chokeholds. I'm glad that there's reform happening. I'm glad that there's more body cameras. I'm glad that a lot of things are happening in the right direction. It's just sad that this stuff happened and that there seems to be little accountability. Aurora police, who they say snapped a what? Aurora police on July 3rd fired 2 officers who they said snapped photographs at Mcclain's memorial site. What? Located where he was killed while they were on duty. The former officer now on trial also was fired, with police saying he received the photo in a text and replied, "Ha," and did not notify supervisors. The photos were what? This is weird, man. This is weird. The Mcclain family filed a civil rights lawsuit against the city for unconstitutional conduct on February 2021. Where police officers 100-page report. So yeah, it seems like they were found innocent. Yeah, this is a super tragic situation. On September, the state attorney announced a grand jury indictment. 3 officers charged with so they weren't even charged with murder. They were charged with what I said. Didn't I say negligent homicide?
Yeah.
I said this is negligent homicide. And they were found innocent of... If this isn't textbook negligent homicide, I don't know what is. You put him down in a chokehold twice. He's throwing up. You administer a sedative. Oh, man. All right. I'm going to get upset. Let's move on. This is frustrating, man. Again, we got to have just scales, right? We got to have just scales. That doesn't mean all the goofy stuff that Black Lives Matter backdoored, but that does mean that people in positions of power and authority should be held accountable. And I think that's beyond reasonable to say. And I don't know how things like this happen. I mean, apparently they were found innocent for whatever reason. We see, according to the Bible, that prayer is extremely important in terms of us being transformed from the inside out when we get aligned with God's will. For the Christians watching this channel, I want you guys to implement these spiritual disciplines in your day-to-day life. And the only way I've been able to do this consistently is through writing down my prayers in a prayer journal that does a few things. 1, it allows me to reflect and come to God humbly and ask Him to move on my behalf. And 2, it allows me to document my prayers, which ultimately help me remember the very things that I was praying for and see the hand of God tangibly in my life when He answers them. So I would urge you, consider writing down your prayers. It could be in a blank notebook. It could even be on your phone. Or you could check out the one I personally designed and used from my own quiet time and spiritual discipline that I think will be a huge blessing. It's the exact structure and system that I've used for years to pray and be more consistent in my spiritual disciplines. You can pick yours up today by clicking the link in the pinned comment below. All right, I'll see you over there. Peace.